Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
Joshua Shrum. He is a very talented steward, very knowledgeable.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. This is one of those podcasts where I listen to every episode. I love what he's putting out there.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. Josh Shrum.
Parcels of Knowledge. Does a fantastic job with that podcast.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball. He is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.
Good morning, and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, that podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today, we are sitting at grievance number 72 in the beautiful city of Roseville, Michigan. And we are going to be talking about PM office duties today. But of course, first of all, today is Wrecking Crew Wednesday, where we will give ourselves some kudos to those who are part of the Roseville Wrecking Crew. And what that means is that you're a Patreon member. I'm going to be including the Patreon link in the description. The Patreon is how you can support the channel. If you find value in this podcast, then you can donate between $1 and $50, depending on how much value you think you can contribute. And so far we have 9 members, which is the same as before. Let's recognize those 9 members. We got Rick Steiner, E.R., Tom Perry, Philip DeGilio, Chris Angeloff, Amy Tyvan, Ryan Ackers, Edmund DeVore, and Misael Guzman. And last time when I introduced the couple new members, I didn't talk about their comments, so I'm going to say that now. Edmund DeVore says, "Hi, my name is Edwin, out of Branch 24, out of Region 1. My office is Glendora, CA. Keep the wrecking ball going. Keep wrecking us with all your knowledge. Thank you for all you do. Solidarity." And Ryan Ackers says, "I love what you do, brother. I've learned a lot from your podcast. Keep up the great work. I'm a city letter carrier out of Davis, California. I love my job, and I love my brothers and sisters in light blue. Management? I don't love them, but I try to train them every day." Me too, brother. Me too. All right. So if you want to become a Patreon member, a member of the Wrecking Crew, click on that link that says click here to support the podcast. Now, other than that, on Saturday, I'll be doing another interview for a national office candidate. It will be Anita Guzik, running for AFL-CIO delegate. She's out of California. She used to be in Michigan. Send in some questions to rosevillewreckingball@yahoo.com. She's going to answer any question. Oh, there goes Abraham texting me. Anyway, yeah, that guy's pretty cool. He's from Louisiana. I'm surprised he's up this early. But either way, Anita Guzik, AFL-CIO delegate, great union leader. Come up with some questions if you want to ask her questions about her run for an AFL-CIO delegate. That will be this Saturday. I'll be interviewing her this Saturday. So that's the deadline for turning the questions in. So far I got some. I'd like to see some more. But on to the topic of the day. We're going to talk about when management curtails PM office duties. And this leads me to one of my most frustrating things in this union as a steward. Oftentimes, curtailment of PM office duties is seen as not harm to the carrier because you can do it in the morning and you're getting the same amount of hours. Let's say they say, hey, Most of the time they say, hey, you got to be done by 6 p.m. Well, you're going to be here till 6 p.m. no matter what, so you didn't lose hours is the way that they think it is. But I think that type of mentality, how you have to prove harm and that's not no harm, I think that's wrong. I think that there is harm in contractual violations alone, even if there's no like articulation of personal harm. Why does there have to be personal harm for someone to violate the contract? There's a reason why the contract says what it says. It's because it's best in our best interest. That's our contract's written over years and years of fighting for certain things. The harm is in the carrier being denied the right to perform all the duties of their bid assignment, as per Article 41.1.c.4. Management cannot arbitrarily deny any carrier this right to their assignment. If you take a look at M document 35, that's M00035, I think it articulates this the best way. It's not a precedent-setting one. I think I'd use it to show that there is harm in violating the duties of a letter carrier position as found in Handbook M41. And it reads, management is to observe the duties of the letter carrier position as found in the P11 handbook. However, this is not to preclude the use of carriers in other than carrier duties as specified in a national agreement in emergencies, for example. And so there used to be a handbook called P11. It became the M41. This was M document from when management was using unassigned regulars to unload dispatch truck on a regular basis. Of course, that wouldn't be a good thing. But it shows that there is harm. Management even agreed in this M document that there's harm provided when letter carrier duties, as described in our handbooks and manuals, are not being observed. And every day, Chapter 4 of the M41 talks about PM office duties. So you're not working your bid assignment as it was posted when you signed up for it, when they're not allowing you to finish your PM office duties. So this is a grievance. And I got this from the Michigan Association website. I got this grievance starter. I'm just going to go over how you file this grievance. That's all. I'm going to give you exemplary issue statement first. Did management violate Chapter 4 of Handbook M41 via Article 19 of the National Agreement by instructing letter carriers not to perform PM office duties in accordance with handbook provisions on the particular date? And if so, what should the remedy be? All right, so the facts are that letter carrier blank delivered blank route number on a certain date. And here are the relevant provisions. Section 411 of Handbook M41 states, promptly record the time you return to the office and return card to the time card rack. If you are a motorized carrier, promptly unload your vehicle upon return to the office and then immediately record your returning time. At end of tour, record ending time and return card to time rack. Next, we have Section 412 out of Handbook M41, which states, follow instructions in 211.2, except 1, set dials to indicate RS for return street, and 2, set dials to indicate ET for in tour. Section 141.1 of Handbook F21 states, references to time clocks are also applicable to employee badge readers. References to clock rings include time entries that are recorded electronically, mechanically using a time clock, or manually written in. Section 414 of .12 of Handbook F21 states, if time clocks are not available, employees required to record clock rings must write in their clock rings each day in blue or black ink in the clock ring spaces on the back of the time card. Section 42 of Handbook M41 states, place the mail collected on designated table or in receptacles. Section 43 of Handbook M41 states, Turn in mail keys in exchange for a signed key check or signature clearance. Section 432.1 of Handbook M41 states, give finance clerk all undeliverable articles and Form 3849 and or 3811 for each registered and certified delivery. Section 432.2 of Handbook M41 states, complete Form 3821 showing the number of receipts and undeliverable articles returned to the clerk. Ensure that any accountable items found in the DPS mail are added to the total accountable pieces included on the form. If form is properly completed, clerk will sign and return it to you. This is your receipt. Keep it for a 2-year period. Section 432.3 states, enter the date of delivery and your signature in the spaces provided on Form 3849. If you didn't do this when you delivered the article, see Section 335.1. Deposit Form 3849 in a designated receptacle or give it to the finance clerk for clearance. Section 433 of the Handbook M41 states, put all Form 3811, which were requested by senders of insured mail in designated places. Complete Form 3849 as specified for registered and certified mail. Section 434.1 states, surrender to clearance clerk COD tags and money for all delivered COD parcels. Return all undelivered CODs for clearance. Section 434.2 of Handbook M41 states, if Form 3821 is used at your office, verify the entries after the clerk has entered the amount of funds and the number of parcels accounted for. Carrier must place original Form 3821 in locked receptacle provided and keep the duplicate for 3 months from the last day of month issued. Clerk may not do this. Section 434.3 of Handbook M41 states, if Form 3821 is not used at your office, clerks will initial and return delivery employee coupon to you. Keep this coupon for 2 years. Section 435.2 of Handbook M41 states, after the clerk has entered the amount of funds and the number of parcels on Form 2944, verify the entries. Sign on the opposite of the clerk's names. Section 435.3 of Handbook M41 states, place first copy of Form 2944 in locked receptacle provided and keep a second copy for 3 months from last day of issuance. Section 436.1 of Handbook M41 states, return all undeliverable postage due mail and funds collected on postage due mail delivered. Section 436.2 of Handbook M41 states, the clearance clerk will sign Form 3584 of postage due collected and return articles agreed with the amount shown on Form 3584. You'll be reimbursed for the amount due on the returned articles if you paid for the postage due articles in cash. Section 441 of Handbook M41 states, follow procedures in Part 24 to process forwardable and undeliverable mail that you didn't process before leaving the office and or that you picked up on the route. After processing, place this mail in throwback case as explained in Part 24. Section 442.1 of Handbook M41 states, after return from trip, obtain Form 1571 undeliverable mail report from the unit manager. Remember, that's very important. Section 442.2 of Handbook M41 states, add any mail which was not delivered but returned to the office. Section 442.3 of Handbook M41 states, sign the form and give it to the unit manager. Section 46 of Handbook M41 states, whenever an inquiry requires a written or oral reply, furnish the information concisely and inclusively. Section 47 of Handbook M41 states, perform such other work as the manager may direct or as is required to maintain the case and route book in good condition. Record ending time on time card as explained in subchapter 41. So, of course, you want to also incorporate Article 19, because Article 19 incorporates other handbooks, which is the M41 in particular. You want to instate that on whatever particular date, letter carriers were instructed by which supervisor not to perform some or all of the required daily PM office duties contained in Chapter 4 of the Handbook M41. And you want to get a statement from the grievant. The grievant's going to have to write a statement, and they're going to have to say exactly that. They want to be concise. They want to be particular. Tell them that you need this following information: who they are, what they did, when it happened, who saw it, and particularly which PM office duties were curtailed, and be very particular about those. Let them look at the M41 and tell them which of these duties did you not perform. And usually it's all of them. Usually, like let's say you got a 6 p.m. return time. The supervisor will say, drop your stuff and go. You need to be off the clock by 6 p.m. because oftentimes that's like the penalty window or whatever. And they'll just tell you got to do that shit in the morning. All right? So you want to argue that management violated Chapter 4 of Handbook M41 via Article 19 when those letter carriers were instructed not to perform their required daily PM office duties as is required by Chapter 4 of Handbook M41. Article 19 contains the process by which the Postal Service may propose changes to handbooks and manuals. The union contains management has not notified the union at the national level of changes to either the M39 or M41 regarding the proper handling of accountable items and PM office duties. The union contends that due to management's failure to properly change the relevant handbook language, the current language must remain, and violations are enforceable through the grievance arbitration procedure via Article 19. And of course, first time it happens, it may not be the first time it's ever happened, but it is the first time it's ever happened if you're writing your first grievance about it. In the beginning, ask for cease and desist. With repetitive violations, you're going to have to start asking for monetary rewards, and that escalation would be via Article 15 and Article 41. Article 41 brings that as an appropriate resolution, as a potential appropriate resolution for incentivizing compliance. Article 15 is the article you cite when management's not following their, when they're not complying with signed settlement agreements, because compliance to settlement agreements is not optional. So, to summarize, your duties are important. I would also put in there, Article 41. It doesn't necessarily say that here, but Article 41 talks about the duties as posted. In particular, I would talk about Article 41.1.c.4. And, that article says you should do the duties as posted. M document 35 says management is to observe the duties of the letter carrier position as is found in the P11 handbook. The P11 handbook is now the M41. You could put that in there for some persuasive value. It's not going to be incredibly useful, but it shows that management does say that there's value in observing the duties of the letter carrier, which is all you're asking for here. Please observe me as a professional letter carrier. Let me do my duties as is assigned, as I signed the bid for. And your curtailment is not allowing me to do that. At the end of the day, those regions who don't think this is a grievance, you might not get any different results. But I'm hoping that your Step B team is going to be less like a wall and more like a bridge that lets you get to where you need to be. Hopefully, you learned something valuable today. And as always, have a good day.
If these guys are getting educated, we will be in big trouble.
Management's been weighing you down like a bag of wet catalogs, but you don't gotta take it. You strap on the elbow of education, dig it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Roseville Wrecking Ball. The Roseville Wrecking Ball.
The Roseville Wrecking Ball is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now. The grievance genius and the Roseville Wrecking Ball doing amazing work.
Tune into the Parcels of Knowledge podcast while you're on the route. That's the mailman's playbook, brother.